Good morning everyone, today we're going to be going over everything that is new in this update because there is a ton of stuff to cover. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to talk about is going to be Leciel exploration because we do have the all ship matchmaking. So what you want to do is you want to queue up for Leciel exploration, click on Halfia environmental testing survey, and instead of clicking start quest like what you normally do, you want to go to configure matchmaking settings and start. And once you're in here, you want to tick enable all ship matchmaking, and this will allow you to queue with other players on different ships. If you leave the matchmaking word blank, you will be able to queue with anyone that is queuing as well, alright? So basically, if you have no friends and you're playing in a pug and you just want the games to fill up really quickly, just tick this, leave the password blank, and you're gonna find games really quickly. Now, if you are playing with other friends on different ships, then you wanna all agree on the same password or the same matchmaking word. You put it in over here, and then you click set, and then you're good to go, and you'll be put into a queue. Keep in mind that the matchmaking word is case sensitive. So let's say your password is ARCS in all caps. That means your friends in the other ships also needs to use ARCS in all capital letters, or else they do lower letters, for example, they will be queued into a different queue. So you need to make sure that it, everyone has the exact same keyword because it is case sensitive. Now, with all of that being said, Leciel exploration did get an update. There is a new boss other than the regular Gigantics. However, it does have a daily rotation. So one day you're going to have regular Gigantics, the other day you're going to have this new special minion. We're just going to call it the minion, but nevertheless, when he spawns, you're going to notice on your minimap there's going to be these little triangles. There's actually 4 of them. You need to make sure that you destroy all 4 of these triangles to unlock some missiles or ICBMs. So as you can see over here, this is what the Giruva core looks like. I'm just going to call it the Guava core. You destroy the Guava cores, and once you destroy all the Guava cores, you simply come to the middle of the map and there will be a bunch of ICBMs for you to pick up and toss at the boss, and they do tons of damage. So now you can see we destroyed all the little triangles, and in the middle of the map we now have this little spaceship looking icon, and this is where the gigantic nuclear missiles are, and you're going to pick them up and you're going to throw them at the boss. So as you can see over here, this is what the ICBM or nuclear missile looks like. As I'm typing right here, it does have a spaceship icon. You are simply going to pick this up, and once you pick this up, you're going to find the gigantic minion and you're going to throw it at him. Remember, normal attacks on the minion doesn't actually do any damage, so the only way to actually damage it is through these gigantic missiles or these nukes, so you need to make sure that you pick these up. And as we can see here, I'm about to throw it at this minion, and bam, look at that, 99999 damage. As you can see, my auto attacks don't do any damage, so I do need to pick up the nukes and then just continue to throw it at him, and he will die very quickly. And as we can see over here, he is about to explode, and waboom. Now when that boss spawns and you're destroying all the little triangles as well as picking up the ICBMs to throw at him, you're going to notice that your screen may glow red like how it currently is on my screen. If it glows red, it means that you are currently being targeted by the boss, and there's going to be like these little crystal shards underneath you. If it fills up to 4 crystal shards, it means that the boss is really close to you and is going to grab you. If he grabs you, he mostly one-shots most people. I'm barely able to survive with like 10 or 20 HP, and I have like 1120 HP basically. So the moment you see your screen starting to flash red like this, you want to just make sure that you keep moving, because remember, you can outrun his grab and you can also sidestep his grab as well. So you just got to be really careful and hope that you don't get grabbed, because it's basically going to one-shot you if you do get grabbed. Now the next big update is of course the final boss. We get to fight Exegul over here. Exegul is one of my favorite bosses, especially with the modifiers that we had yesterday, where it was just throw a bunch of stuff at the boss and deal tons of damage. As you can see over here, I'm literally just picking up these rocks and throwing it at the boss, and look at that, I'm 14,000 DPS right now, and you do so much damage by just throwing rocks at him. It's super fun, and yeah, I really like this modifier. Do keep in mind that the boss is level 89 compared to our 85, so the difficulty has ramped up. As you can see, that's his gravity attack. You can counter or sidestep it, so that, pretty chill, pretty easy, but you basically just want to pick up these rocks and keep throwing it. It really depends on the modifiers, of course, but you don't really want to auto attack like what I'm doing over here because, well, I don't really do that much damage compared to the rocks. So you just want to pick the rocks up and keep throwing it. As you can see over here, I'm Rappy actually tells us that there is a damage range. So the further you throw, the more damage you do. So that is pretty nice. Look at that, 146,000 damage. It's actually pretty insane. So you do just keep throwing rocks. It's going to kill the boss super quickly and just abuse the mechanics of whatever Leciel exploration has. But the big money item with Exegul is his weapon. You can get this exact weapon camo. I'm going to show you that in game right now. So when we come to the player shop, there is the Rune Megalith Glaive. This is the weapon camo that Exegul can drop when you are farming Leciel exploration. The average price is 61 million. I don't actually know if it actually sold that much because you can see over here there are none on the market anymore. So I'm assuming that someone actually did buy it for 61 million, which is actually bonkers, but it does look absolutely beautiful. It is this gigantic scythe looking glaive thing with this really cool aura. So this is one of the free-to-play weapon camos that looks absolutely amazing. So this is definitely one of the big reasons on why someone would want to farm Leciel exploration over and over and over, is because he does have a rare chance of dropping this weapon camo. Keep in mind it is really low, but keep in mind that this weapon camo only applies to the following weapons: to Rod, Partisan, Double Saber, as well as Soaring Blades. All right, so if you're using any other weapon other than these four, you won't be able to use the weapon camo. So for example, if I use a katana, I cannot use this weapon camo as a katana because it simply does not work for it. So yeah, that is something to keep in mind, but nevertheless, it does look freaking awesome. Now, with that out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about are, of course, the new weapon drops, because we do have the new Growth Mint 2. So let me just show you what that actually looks like. Growth Mint, as we can see right here, Growth Mint 2, I have 150 of this already, and it's actually very easy to get a bunch of Growth Mint 2. You get 15 per run, and yeah, it stockpiles really quickly, so you don't need to worry too much about Growth Mint 2s. But nevertheless, you're able to use your Growth Mint 2 to exchange for these Xover weapons over here if you want to. However, I got these two weapons to drop normally. They do drop fairly often, so as long as you do run Leciel exploration enough times, you will get a bunch of these items. And another reason why you might want to run Leciel exploration is because it does give you Genesis points. So let's say that you don't want to run the time attack because you don't have anyone to run with, you can just run the Leciel exploration over and over to get a bunch of Genesis points to hit your 50,000 weekly cap. So that is another very easy way to do it. So in order to spend your Growth Mint, you do need to come to the item trader over here. Right here at Growth Mint to exchange, here are all of the different Xover weapons. Now do keep in mind there are two different options for these Xover weapons. When you click on this, you can see you can get the Xover weapon over here for 50 Growth Mint 2. However, there is no fixa. If you want the one with Fixa Fatale level 1, it will cost you 300 Growth Mint 2. Personally, I think it might be worth picking up this, because if you do get any extra weapons over here, so for example like the sword that I don't need, I can go to the very bottom, click on Growth Mint 2, and I can exchange my sword into 25 extra Growth Mint 2s. So, this is very helpful. So if you do have any copies of weapons that you don't need, you can exchange them all into Growth Mint 2, and that way you'll be able to pick up your Fixa Fatale level 1 weapon relatively easily. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, what is the weapon potential? So the weapon potential for these Xover weapons there's 3 different weapon potentials. Unfortunately, I can only show you 2 over here as I only have 2 of the weapons. But as you can see, the sword actually gives you potency plus 25%, damage resistance plus 25% when HP is at 95% or greater. All right. So the potency plus 25% is always active, but the damage resistance of 25% is only activated when your HP is 95% or greater. So think of this basically as like a shield. So your first hit that you take, as long as you're full HP or 95% or higher, you are going to take reduced damage, which is very nice. Then on top of that, up to 50% HP recovery after Photon Blast activation. However, it only starts 10 seconds after being equipped, but nevertheless, this is very powerful. Basically, you get a massive heal whenever you use your Photon Blast. Now, the katana is a little bit different. It's still potency plus 25%. You still get the HP regeneration after you do a Photon Blast. However, it's PP consumption minus 10% when HP is at 95% or greater. So that's the only difference over here. This one gives you damage resistance of 25%. This one gives you PP consumption minus 10%. I'm assuming the last one is probably a technique weapon. Now, I do have a lot of growth mint too, so let's buy a technique weapon over here. Let's see the rod. So as we can see over here, there is the rod. The rod also looks super badass as well. So let us buy the Xover rod. We're just going to buy the regular one without any fixa. And let us take a look. I'm pretty sure the potential is going to be different. Unlock potential for the rod. And yeah, as you can see over here for the rod, it is natural PP recovery speed plus 15% when HP is at 95% or greater. So these are the 3 different categories that I know of. I'm just going to buy a rifle just to check if there's an extra potential. But from what I heard from other players, they said that there's only 3 different weapon potentials. But nevertheless, I do want to just double check. So let us buy the rifle over here. We're also going to buy the bow while we're at it. You know, since I have so much growth mint, I can pretty much buy... Oh, no, I'm kidding. I don't have a lot of growth mint. I can buy 1 more weapon. We're just going to check the rifle first. Because, well, you know, if it's the same, then there's no need to check. So as we can see, the rifle, yeah. So the rifle is the same as the katana. The rifle is PP consumption minus 10% as well. So yeah, I guess that means there is only 3 different potentials. So the first one is damage resistance plus 25%. The second one is PP consumption minus 10%. And the third one is natural PP recovery speed plus 15%. All right. So overall, it's okay. It's not the greatest, but I do think that the damage numbers for these weapons are slightly better than the rare weapon, just slightly. But personally, I wouldn't really go out of my way to build a Xover weapon unless you don't have a rare weapon with a fixa yet. So let's say that you have a rare weapon and it's just filled with LC capsules and it doesn't have a fixa, and you want that very little bit of extra damage because maybe you're planning to do Darkfall's Dallion, or you want to attempt it. Then sure, you could upgrade to the Xover weapon and use its weapon potentials, you know, see the one that fits your playstyle, because remember, you could multi-weapon. So let's say that you're a katana user, but for whatever reason, I want the damage resistance, right? So what I can do is I can use the sword as the main weapon, multi-weapon with the katana. So that way I can use the katana, but I will have the sword's weapon potential. So that means I get the damage resistance plus 25% even though I'm using a katana. So that is one of the main strengths about these type of weapons that have multiple different weapon potentials, is you're able to mix and match to whatever you want. However, you know, if you're very happy with the rare weapon already with its, you know, technique and potency plus 5%, then you might as well just stick with this one. But nevertheless, you know, this is pretty cool. I do like the idea and I do like the look of these weapons. These weapons look really, really cool. But personally, I am not going to be investing into this as my rare weapon's good enough. And I'm going to be sticking with my rare weapon until I get my 11-star weapon, which becomes available after the coming maintenance. And I'm just going to be running Darkfall's Dallion all day, every day. Now that I've showcased that, I'm going to go back to the Growth Mint shop over here and exchange all of these weapons back into Growth Mint. As you can see, it's 3 times 25, so I do get some back. I do lose like half of the amount that I spent, but nevertheless, it's not a big deal. It was for the video. The next thing I want to talk about is there is no Crimson Realm. I was hoping that there would be some Crimson Realm because they did put in the patch notes that they increased the trial or the Tyrell respawn from 3 minutes to 4 minutes. Unfortunately, we do not have Crimson Realm, so maybe next update? I'm not entirely sure. The next thing I want to talk about is the special select ticket. So if you guys watched yesterday's video where I went through the patch notes, they did say something about a special select ticket being able to exchange those for some EX variant motion items. Unfortunately, that was just me unable to read English. It was the other way round. So you're able to exchange some extra EX variant motions into special select tickets. Because the thing about those EX motion items is they are not tradable, so you can't sell them on the market. So if you've unlocked it for your account already, they're basically useless, as you can't sell them, you can't do anything with those motion items. So they're allowing you to exchange them to these special select tickets, which you can use as selector tickets for other scratches. So that's what they meant in the patch notes. So in order to get to that menu, you simply go to shop over here, item recycle, scroll to the very bottom and special select ticket. And if you do have any EX motion items that are extra that you can't use, they will show up over here and you'll be able to exchange them for these special select tickets. Okay, and last but not least, I want to talk about the tech arts customization because they've added a lot. So for every single class, they have added a new PA. So for the Braver, we got Iris Gale for the katana, and we got Ceaseless Draw for the bow. Ceaseless Draw is actually really goated now, as we can see over here. For Ceaseless Draw, you have 3 different options. I think Type 2 looks very promising, where its charge time duration during Brave Combat minus 90%, which means you can basically spam the arrows over and over. But I don't know if this is actually good or not, since there is a limitation to it, or a condition where you do need to go into Brave Combat in order to gain that benefit, versus Type 1 over here, where you do get increased attack speed, but at the cost of charge potency as well as uncharged potency. The PP cost is also reduced by 15%, which is also pretty nice. But personally, I am not a bow braver, so I'm probably just gonna have to wait for Joy to actually test all of this and let us know if it's good or not. But as for the Braver, Iris Gale, the increased attack range is absolutely insane. Personally, I put 10 points into this immediately because farming in PSE combat zones is a joke now. You literally stand in the middle of the PSE burst, you hold down right click or whatever key your Iris Gale is bound to, and you literally kill everything. You cover like the entire spawn. It's actually pretty funny, and it's huge. It's ginormous. It covers everything and you just kill everything. It's super easy. This increased attack range might actually be more efficient than the Waker farm. I'm not entirely sure, obviously I haven't tested it, but it is incredibly funny because you just hold down one button and you cover the entire spawn, and it's just super funny. However, if you want to be a little bit more efficient, like, you know, maybe you do want to use Iris Gale in like Dark Falls Aegis or Dark Falls Solus, you could try the reduced time until Fearless Attitude is available. This basically means whenever you attack, you get this bubble around you, where if you get hit while the bubble is active, you do a counterattack. That is the Fearless Attitude. It recovers a ton of your photon power and it deals a ton of damage. This basically allows you to get Fearless Attitude like almost instantaneously after doing Iris Gale. It's super useful, and it'll allow you to deal a ton more counters. But I haven't really tested this yet, but maybe I'll test it today when I run my daily MDFA as well as DFS runs. But it does look pretty promising. As you can see over here at level 10, your PP cost does increase by 5%, but the Fearless Attitude potency is actually increased by 10%, which is actually really big because you just deal even more damage with those counters. So this could be something to look into. As for Type 3 of Iris Gale, this one's very straightforward. It's just increase your potency for the stage 1 and stage 2. This one's very vanilla, very basic. I don't really see that much value in this. Personally, it's a toss-up between Type 1 and Type 2 for me. Now, of course, they have added new skills for all of the other classes as well, all the different techniques for Force, as you can see Zonde, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. I haven't had time to go over any of these. I really just focused on the Braver only this time, but I'm sure all of the other content creators will cover all of their different weapon types and whatever class they specialize in, so you guys can definitely check them out.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!